Hi guys, this is Roma Osowo. I am an abstract painter, originally from the Caribbean, Tortola, British Virgin Islands to be exact. Now living in Dallas, Texas. And my current vibe that I'm on is definitely my air fryer. I actually own two, and I am on a mission to perfect all recipes using my air fryer.
When you look at a painting by abstract artist Roma Osowo, several words rush at once: vivid, cool, distinctive, serene, lively. Roma's use of color and form attracts the eye yet soothes the spirit. It isn't difficult to imagine one of her works hanging in your living room, giving character to your space, adding a touch of elegance and tranquility. Hi, I'm Luan Jordan, feature content writer at Yellow, and for this installment of Caribbean Vibes, I have the pleasure of chatting with US-based contemporary abstract artist Roma Osowo. Roma, welcome to Caribbean Vibes. It's lovely to have you to discuss your art. And so I'm going to start off with, what is contemporary abstract art?
Well, contemporary abstract art, I'll break it down into two parts. Contemporary just means it's art being made in the present day. So art that you're seeing out there right now, and not necessarily art from periods from our history, right? And then abstract just means it is not representative of anything literal. So when you look at it, it's left to be interpreted based on who is watching it. So it's not a precise tree or a flower or an apple, but maybe it gives the impression of something, right?
Okay. How did you first become interested in art?
My mom is super creative, and I was always a child that had craft paint, and at our church on Saturdays we would go to like Saturday club, and there's always something crafty. So I just always remember like making things, and I think eventually that evolved into art.
What was your preferred media when you started, and has it changed over the years?
I always painted with acrylics. As a child, I painted with acrylics, primarily because I like to say I'm lazy and I don't like to wait for oil paint to dry. But so I started off with acrylics, and to this day, I still use acrylics, but I have morphed into kind of combining acrylics with like oil pastels, so I get the look of some oils and stuff, but without the use of oils. Oil pastels, charcoal, collage. I kind of experiment with a bunch of things.
If you were to describe your art, because I think that's the thing about art, right? The audience, we always have an impression of what we think the artist is trying to convey. But as an artist, what two words would you say best describes your work?
I think I'll use the words I receive a lot from people who view my art, which is joyful and colorful. And I would agree. I try to evoke joy. I may not always feel joyful, but I have, resolve within myself that no matter how I feel, I want to put good and beauty out into the world. So that's what I always tend to go for with my work.
I would say that comes through, because looking at your art as I was still preparing for the interview, one of the things I want to add is a serenity. Because I love that. I feel like there's that balance, and it's lively, but it's also tranquil. What themes do you pursue, if there are any, in your work?
Yeah, I tend to base a lot of my work off of Bible scriptures. And like I have a series called Love Lives Here, or Hope Lives Here, Where Hope Lives. And it's just really to inspire people and encourage people. There are a lot of times people would purchase my work because they connect to it on a deeper level, because something within the work and what it means resonates with them. One other example is a Romans 12:2 series, which says, "Be not conformed to the pattern of this world," right? And it just speaks to it's okay to be different and to stand out, and to be true to what you believe in. And so, yeah, I follow themes just based on like when I'm creating, something may come up within me, or I may be reading scripture that's in a certain line, and I'm like, you know what, this would work really well for what I'm working on, and I kind of push it in that direction. I did one collection when I first launched my art officially, and then since then I just kind of put out releases of work. But that first collection was based on purpose, and it was the theme of that work, and it was really because at that time I was really feeling strongly that I had changed careers completely, and I felt like I had finally found a purpose within myself that was like a calling I hadn't even been able to tap into, even though I had prayed to find it for a very long time. So whatever I'm typically going through at any particular time, my work, the theme of my work reflects it. Yes.
So you're US based, but I know that your roots are in the Caribbean. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I'm only physically in the US. My roots are deep in the Caribbean. I was born and raised on Tortola in the British Virgin Islands by a mom who is from Dominica in the West Indies, and my biological dad was from the Dominican Republic with his roots in Virgin Gorda. So I like to say that I'm like a child of the Caribbean. People think I'm from Trinidad when I talk, which is weird to me. But yeah, I love the Caribbean, and it's a big part of who I am.
Okay, and how is that portrayed in your work?
Everything from like my favorite plant being bougainvillea, right? The vibrant colors you see in the landscape. I have a lot of blues, if you haven't noticed, in my florals. I'm like, I don't care if traditional flowers you don't see. I'm gonna put the ocean and the flowers together, right? So I reflect the beauty of the Caribbean seas, the oceans, the infrastructure, which I think is like the best thing ever. When you step into like a Caribbean island and you see like bright yellow buildings, or you see the landscape like the way it is, I just think it reflects our fun culture and our vibrant culture all around. The colors you see in festival times, right? And carnival times. So those are the colors I tend to be drawn to just naturally, and I find a way to put them together and make them work.
When you're in need of inspiration, because I'm sure that not every project you approach, you may feel inspired. What do you do, or what's your go-to? Where do you go to for inspiration?
That question is kind of twofold. I get inspired by having a conversation with somebody else who's also creative, and it don't have to be an artist. It could just be somebody that's super creative, and they're telling me about what they're into, and I get like all excited. And a lot of times ideas are downloaded within me, sometimes even just being in church, and I'm like, oh, I get an idea for like a painting, or like I should do this as a series, or like just a change of environment. So like going for a long walk, traveling if I can. Realistically, a lot of times you don't feel inspired. I'm sure even if you love your job, not every day you're like, yeah, let me get to work. Right. And so really a lot, what I believe is that inspiration shows up when you get to work, right? So you may not feel like, if we rely on our feelings, there's a lot of mistakes we'll make and a lot of things we'll regret, right? We'll do things or not do things that we really should be doing. But if you just show up, inspiration kind of comes and finds you in the work.
And I think that would be important, especially for this time that we're in, because we're 2 years into the pandemic. How has that affected you? In what way has it affected your art?
I'm so grateful to God that I actually have art as a refuge, because it's been something that I've gone further into, sort of like escaped into, to get away from all the craziness of everything in the last few years. When this period of time has made us feel like stuck, right? Like just like, oh, I just want to break free. Like I hate people tell me what to do, or like I can't go here, and art gives you an escape.
Recently, you were able to work on a project with Traditional Home magazine. What has that been like? Can you tell us a bit about it?
Well, it was a privilege, honestly, and that came about through the gallery that represents me, Liz Leggett Gallery in Des Moines, Iowa. One of the editors of the magazine has a relationship with the gallery that represents me and wanted to feature some art for the August edition of Traditional Home. And the whole premise behind the feature was putting contemporary art, right, with traditional decor, which, you know, those two aren't really, you know, you have contemporary modern decor, and then you have, you know, you can have traditional decor. But when you merge two things that are not alike, it creates this tension. So that feature was really, you know, kind of exposing the idea that it works.
Roma, if someone watching now wants to get in touch with you or possibly access maybe prints of your work, how would they go about doing that?
Sure. You can find my work at romaosowo.com, and you can email me if you want to contact me directly at hello@romaosowo.com. My social medias are roma.artist on Instagram and Roma Osowo Studio on Facebook. And for my prints, you can get those through my website. For original work, I tend to do releases, and I have one coming up at the end of this month. So I would suggest getting on my website, signing up for my newsletter so you get early access. Usually my subscribers get early access to shop the night before I make it public.
Okay, very nice. So you've heard access Roma's work on her website. Thank you.